From the moment the clip surfaced online, fans were divided. Some insisted it was jealousy, others claimed it was simple misunderstanding, and a few said the truth was far more complicated than anyone expected. But one thing was clear, Freen's unexpected reaction was not something anyone saw coming. It was the kind of moment that didn't need dramatic music or loud arguments. It was subtle, almost fleeting, yet powerful enough to spark a global debate. The clip began circulating late at night, posted by a fan who had attended a private brand preview event. Most people scrolling through their feeds didn't even know what they were looking at first. It was just Freen, standing beside the display table, smiling politely as she posed for photos. But then something shifted. It happened within 2 seconds, but fans caught it instantly. As Becky walked into the frame from the opposite side of the room, Freen's smile changed. It wasn't obvious, but it wasn't invisible either. The corners of her lips lowered slightly, her eyes followed Becky's direction faster than expected, and her posture became noticeably straighter. To casual viewers, it looked like nothing more than a normal reaction. But fans who had watched these two for years recognized it immediately. It was the look someone gives when something matters to them more than they want to admit. And that single look became the heart of the debate. Was Freen jealous? Within minutes, the clip hit every platform. Comments poured in. Some fans said it was clearly jealousy, the kind that slips out before someone can hide it. Others argued she was just surprised, or even tired. But the most intriguing comments came from those who believed the situation had layers that fans weren't aware of. They believed the reaction had a backstory. People who attended the event said Freen hadn't seen Becky all evening. They had arrived separately, appeared on the schedule differently, and didn't cross paths once until that exact moment. For an industry where schedules are tightly controlled and interactions are carefully managed, the lack of contact was noticeable. Fans wondered whether there had been tension or distance between them leading up to the event. Some pointed out that the two had not been seen together much in recent weeks, not in events, not in fan videos, and not even in casual background sightings that fans usually discover. That absence alone fueled countless theories. Some wondered if they were taking a break from working together. Others said they were simply focusing on individual projects. But to a passionate fandom, silence often raises more questions than answers. And this tiny reaction from Freen became a doorway to 1,000 interpretations. In the clip, Becky didn't notice Freen's reaction at first. She was busy greeting the staff and taking photos with the brand team. But when she finally turned toward Freen, something subtle happened. Becky's steps slowed down. Her expression became softer. Observers said Becky seemed to instantly sense something, even from across the room. That moment became the second part of the viral discussion. Did Becky already know what Freen was feeling? Was she aware of her reaction? Or was she just responding naturally to seeing someone familiar? When Becky approached Freen, fans expected a friendly wave or a simple hello. Instead, Becky placed her hand gently on Freen's arm, and Freen's entire posture softened. This shift was obvious. The tension disappeared from her shoulders, her eyes relaxed, and she gave the kind of small smile that fans recognized instantly. It was the smile Freen only showed around a few people. The moment was short, but meaningful, and it made the conversation even bigger. People who analyzed the clip frame by frame said Freen wasn't jealous of anyone in particular. Instead, it looked like she was reacting to the situation itself. Some believed Freen was dealing with a mix of pressure, exhaustion, and emotion. Others said she might have been caught by surprise because she didn't expect Becky to appear at that moment. But what pushed the debate even further was a behind-the-scenes comment from someone who claimed to have been standing near Freen during the event. They said Freen kept checking the entrance earlier in the evening, glancing around between her obligations, as if she was waiting for someone. That observation immediately sparked another wave of speculation. Was Freen hoping Becky would show up but trying not to show it? And when Becky finally arrived later, was that look simply a flash of relief mixed with frustration that came out unintentionally? Fans started piecing together older moments, older interviews, and older interactions. They remembered times when Freen was expressive, protective, or unexpectedly emotional when Becky was involved. And they remembered times when Becky seemed to read Freen's mood effortlessly, responding without needing explanation. For many viewers, the moment highlighted the kind of bond that has always existed between them, the kind that doesn't need words. Their relationship, whether friendship, partnership, or something more complicated, has always been layered. Fans have watched them go from colleagues to on-screen partners to a pair whose chemistry often felt too genuine to be scripted. And now, with this clip, people were revisiting everything with new eyes. The biggest twist came the next morning. A staff member who worked at the event posted anonymously, saying the truth was not jealousy at all. According to them, Freen had been overwhelmed earlier due to a sudden change in her schedule, the arrival of extra press members, and miscommunication about some parts of her appearance. She had been handling everything quietly and professionally, but the stress was real. They said Freen's reaction in the clip wasn't jealousy, but a mix of being startled and emotionally relieved. The staff member revealed that Freen had asked earlier whether Becky would be joining the event, showing she truly wanted her to be there. This detail changed everything. Fans began to see the reaction differently, not as jealousy, but as recognition and comfort. Some fans said it reflected how deeply Freen trusted Becky. Others said it showed how close they truly were behind the scenes. And then the most surprising comment surfaced from another attendee. After the clip ended, and after cameras moved away, Becky allegedly pulled Freen to the side for a private conversation. Witnesses said Becky gently held Freen by the wrist and whispered something that instantly made her smile. That moment wasn't recorded, but it added a layer of mystery that fans could only imagine. In the days following the viral moment, neither Freen nor Becky responded publicly. They continued with their schedules, posted unrelated content, and left fans to interpret everything on their own. But that silence created even more buzz. The debate remained alive, with fans split into their usual groups, those who believed it was jealousy, those who believed it was exhaustion, those who believed it was deeper emotion, and those who believed it was simply Freen being human. But the truth, as always, lies somewhere in between. Freen's reaction was real, raw, and unscripted. It wasn't manufactured for drama, nor was it exaggerated. It was a moment that showed how complex human connections can be, especially when placed under a spotlight. Fans who watched closely noticed something else too. Even though Freen and Becky didn't talk about the incident directly, they subtly interacted online again. A like post, a shared story, a comment that only loyal fans would recognize as meaningful. These were enough to reassure many viewers that whatever emotion Freen felt in that moment, it came from a place of closeness, not conflict. Days passed, but the conversation around Freen's reaction refused to die down. Instead of fading, the discussion grew even wider. Fans from other communities began weighing in, body language analysts stitched their own interpretations, and media outlets started publishing speculative articles. At first, this unexpected attention worried a few fans, but then something interesting happened. The more people analyzed the moment, the more patterns began to emerge. Patterns that hinted at something deeper between Freen and Becky, something that had been there long before this viral clip. The next major spark came from a fan who attended a closed-door rehearsal for a separate project both Freen and Becky were scheduled to appear in. According to this fan, Freen arrived first and seemed unusually quiet. She politely greeted the staff but stayed mostly to herself. Her eyes occasionally drifted to the entrance, as if she was waiting for someone. When Becky finally walked in nearly 20 minutes later, witnesses said Freen noticeably relaxed. She didn't run to her, but her entire energy changed. Her shoulders dropped, her expression softened, and she let out a breath she didn't even seem to realize she was holding. It was such a small moment, but fans who saw it said it felt like watching someone find the one person who made them feel safe in the room. Still, Freen avoided bringing up the viral clip. She maintained her usual professionalism, staying focused on rehearsals and interacting with everyone politely. But people observed small, telling gestures, moments where Freen subtly moved closer to Becky when cameras weren't pointed at them, moments where she looked at Becky longer than she intended, moments where she let Becky guide conversations or decisions when she seemed too drained to engage. It wasn't jealousy, nor was it frustration. It was something else, something that suggested an emotional connection deeper than the public had understood. Becky, too, seemed aware of what Freen was feeling. During the rehearsal break, someone overheard Becky quietly asking Freen whether she was okay. The question wasn't dramatic or loud. It was soft, direct, filled with genuine concern. Freen didn't answer immediately. She hesitated, looked around the room, and only when she was sure no cameras were around did she nod. Witnesses said Becky placed her hand on Freen's back gently, a gesture so subtle that most people would miss it. But for those who saw it, it spoke volumes. It was the gesture of someone who knew how to calm her, someone who understood her. Fans began piecing the puzzle together. The viral clip wasn't an isolated moment. It was the tip of something much bigger. People remembered interviews where Freen openly admitted she struggled to hide her emotions. They recalled times when Becky mentioned she was protective of people she cared for. Suddenly, their entire dynamic became clearer. They weren't simply co-stars. They weren't simply friends. They moved like two people whose lives had intertwined in ways the public rarely gets to see. The turning point arrived during an event rehearsal when the stage lights malfunctioned. The room went dark for several seconds, causing an unexpected moment of confusion. In the darkness, a staff member reported hearing Freen quietly calling Becky's name. Not loudly, not in fear, but with instinct. When the lights came back on, Becky was already standing beside her. That one detail sent fans into a frenzy. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't theatrical. It was raw, unfiltered instinct, reaching for the one person she trusted most when things felt uncertain. Later that same day, a fan posted another clip that added even more depth to the unfolding story. It was a short 5-second video of Becky approaching Freen from behind after rehearsal ended. Freen didn't see her coming, but when Becky gently tapped her arm, Freen turned and immediately smiled. Not the rehearsed, professional smile she used for cameras, but the kind that lifted her eyes and softened her entire face. A smile that belonged to someone who felt understood. This smile began trending under a new hashtag. People said it wasn't jealousy that made Freen react at the event. It was emotional fatigue. It was longing. It was the kind of moment where someone's guard slips because the person they care about unexpectedly walked into the room. That interpretation grew so popular that even non-fans began repeating it. But more surprises came when someone leaked information from a crew briefing. According to them, Freen and Becky had originally been scheduled to appear at the event together. However, last-minute changes were made without their input. Becky's arrival time shifted, and Freen was not informed until she was already inside. This detail changed everything. Fans realized Freen's reaction wasn't rooted in jealousy at all. It was rooted in being blindsided, overwhelmed, and unsure when she would see Becky. And when Becky finally appeared, the reaction that played across her face was real emotion, not possessiveness, but unspoken relief. Still, the biggest shock was yet to come. A behind-the-scenes worker shared that after all the cameras were off, Freen pulled Becky aside to a quiet hallway. They spoke in low voices, too soft for anyone to decipher the words. But one thing was clear. Becky took Freen's hand and held it firmly as they walked out together. The staff member said it didn't look romantic, performative, or dramatic. It looked like two people who had been carrying emotions quietly for weeks and finally had a moment alone to breathe together. When fans heard this, the narrative shifted again. The debate was no longer about whether Freen was jealous. It became about why she felt so strongly in the first place, why her reaction was immediate, why Becky's presence changed her so visibly, why they kept sharing these quiet, unspoken moments that only insiders seemed to catch. Even though Freen and Becky never addressed the viral clip publicly, their actions spoke louder than any statement. Freen began liking posts related to Becky again. Becky left a brief but telling comment under one of Freen's updates. Fans noticed they started appearing in similar locations at similar times, even when not scheduled together. And slowly, the tension fans sensed earlier began to dissolve.